Alright, time for Fullest House, first edition, where we are playing Vaettiheim. It is turn 49. Don't really remember specifically what's going on. Research and Enchantment, level 7. That's for Serpent's Blessing, very nice. And we are doing our summoning, bringing in our big birds, and then also our demons, and then doing some shuffling of our mages, including our Pretender, continuing our twice-borning and then transformation shenanigans, hoping for those larger chassis. Bringing in a few long dead, and then blood feasting, so 570 people. That's not ideal, but we do at least retain one of our blood 2s, who are very useful as blood hunters. And with growth 3, I'm sure that province will recover. Nobody need worry about it. Our site searching actually doing better than normal. Plenty of misses, but we find 2 sites. This looks like some death gems, possibly a special one. I'm not really familiar with it. And then Enchanted Tower, that's an air site, I suspect. Our blood hunting doing okay, although we did have to shut off one of our provinces. May want to take a look at this place. This seems low. There's probably some unrest there, so we may have to take a break and or increase the number of patrollers we have in that province. Though there definitely is some randomness in terms of, how many blood slaves you get on a particular turn. And then it looks like Marignon is pinging, or yeah. Not sure about using one of the masters to ping the province, and it looks like the army decided to hang out, so unless this was a I don't know why Marignon would choose to magic phase and then try to retreat with like no gems and no gear, so not sure what happened here. He did get hit with, I think, paralyze. He's probably screwed at this point. But it does look like this army chose not to jump on top of Marignon's capital. It is sitting inside of Marignon's cap circle right now, so this is kind of a critical situation for them. So not sure what happened there. Perhaps that master just wanted to escape life. And then Marignon is attacked somewhere by Flegro. We still have a couple scouts floating around here. Hey, some tyrants. They also have a random grab bag of helets with them, and they're fairly kitted out. Kind of interesting kit. This guy, sort of swiftness is kind of a melee thing, but then he also has some penetration gear. Haven't ever played with these, so I can't really say as to how good the kit is. This guy's looking, more strictly melee. He's got a charcoal shield, which will give him a fire shield. He does have fire magic, so he could cast on himself. That said, casting slots are at a premium. And I think they're going to come away with this, because it's pretty unlikely Marignon has much that's going to be able to deal with two tyrants, especially considering that probably most of what they have is focused on that army that we just saw. And then, of course, the computer attacks us, naturally. And I don't think we really have much here. Yeah, just some province defense, because we moved the raiders out, because I was expecting Raga to just stay home. But of course, since it's the computer, they just sent in a really random amount of stuff. I think we'll be able to come away with this. Well, maybe not. Wow, I thought it was just some regular cavalry, but it's actually a Shah. I was wondering how regular cavalry was able to blood surge, so they sent 3 Shahs against us. 3 Shahs and some mage who did a lesser fire elemental, but overall, 2 lesser fire elementals. It does work out, so good work, computer, I suppose. So we'll have to raid this back. It doesn't matter too much other than, someone may decide to jump on this province, since, now it belongs to Raga. And then it looks like Joman continues their attack. And is this possibly a storm? No. Okay, interesting. I'm not sure what this is. But they mostly just have mercenaries here, along with their god and quite a few casters protected in that box. They're up against quite a bit of mundane troops, and this could be a bit of an issue. I don't know. They'll probably be fine. I don't think the dragon could probably handle it alone, but still, there's definitely some risk here, and I think they'll take some losses, though. Of course, that said, these are all mercenaries, though the mercenaries could potentially HP route the army, so hopefully the dragon is decently killy. He has gone to the back and probably killed, at least some of the commanders, so that's another way that this could work out for Joman, is if they manage to kill all the commanders, which is not looking super likely. The dragon does not have fear. Also, this is not their pretender, so that's interesting. I thought that they had to get underwater in order to be able to recruit these guys. Now we have some routes on both sides, so armies of Raga are routed. It does look like this is going to work out for Jomon. It was pretty close in a lot of ways. I think they're probably not too far off from an HP route. So definitely interesting that they managed to get another dragon. We'll maybe have to take a look and see if they managed to make it into some lake somewhere. This must be on top of the throne. So there's a fair chance actually that Agartha is going to bump with this. No, it looks like Agartha chose not to move forward, or at least decided to go somewhere else. And then, I'm not actually sure where this... this is an assault. Yeah, nice, and it's a Scrotty who's just going to try to take this fort. That is not completely empty, so there's definitely some danger here. There's some Zayedin in here, and Scrotty could definitely die to Zayedin, although Zayedin don't have very good magic resistance, and so they're going to get wrapped up pretty effectively by this Vine Shield. Yeah, we've seen this kit before. For this Scrotty. So yeah, but there you go. Zayedin are really dangerous, and Scrotty just don't have, great protection. So as long as you can get some burst damage on them, they're not going to be able to regen down fast enough. Yeah, you can definitely kill them, and that's what happened there. This is perhaps more stuff inside than Utgard was expecting. Probably also the loss of a single, Jotun thug who was relatively lightly kitted. Not the end of the world. And that covers it for battles. So we have some unexpected events. Locals are conducting demon worship. Probably not all that surprising, considering we're summoning demons in every turn. Children disappearing at night. Probably not related to the demons, although there was some unrest generated, but we'll survive. And some governor murdered some people in order to make things more orderly, but considering we have full order scales, I'm not sure that's really going to help us much. We do get a scout patrolled out. I think this is the army, yeah. So this was actually headed on top of Marignon's capital. So this army just chose to hang out and patrol, and as a result, we lost a scout. So that's sad. We probably won't, well, I don't know, we'll see. Maybe we have a scout nearby, but we may miss a pivotal battle between these two. So that could be the last that we see of that army, at least for a little while. And then, of course, our patrollers are always active, and I will catch you guys after the jump. All right, this is the situation and what we're doing about it. Next turn should be an exciting one. We have two major attacks happening, so we are combining all of our different elements up here into one massive, oversized force on top of Pangea's capital. This is definitely more than we need to be bringing to deal with, what Pangea has. Obviously, they're pretty down to it, but, we are expecting an attack probably on the same turn. We'll see. It depends somewhat, I think, on Pythium's scouting. But they've clearly been building up. Well, potentially they could just be interested in covering this throne and have maybe given up on their ambitions to take Pangea's capital. On the other hand, maybe this is a build-up to try again for Pangea's capital. Obviously, they are interested in it, having attempted it a couple of times now. So potentially, we're going to have a large battle here on top of Pangea against Pythium. If not, then we should break the walls here probably in one turn. We are moving the Eagles on top of the fort the same turn, so that means the Eagles may participate in the battle, which is not ideal, but they are at least set to bodyguard, so they won't actually fly in and die. So with this amount of siege strength plus all the other stuff we're bringing, I think there's a decent chance we're going to get that one turn crack. Certainly the siege shouldn't take too long, and then once we storm and take Pangea, because I'm sure that will go fine. But after it goes fine, then we will focus our efforts on attacking Pythium. We are moving some raiders up, although, a lot of them are still not in position. We're also utilizing some of our raiders here that we're, repositioning towards the north to deal with the AI's little attempt, successful raid against us. We would definitely like to hold on to this province. This is 2 death gems a turn, so that is important. The Demon Gate, not as important, although it's probably worth sending one of our little blood ones up here to just summon Fiends of Darkness, since those are pretty good troops. So yeah, we should be able to retake this without too much difficulty, but that is going to slow down the repositioning of at least some of our raiders. I think we're continuing to recruit, Wolf Brothers here, and I think we're going to be moving some out. No, nobody's actually arrived, so I think next turn one of the commanders will arrive to start bringing Wolf Brother groups up in this direction so that we can start, raiding Pythium pretty hard. Our astral mages are not sending lesser horrors just yet. Pythium and I, we haven't talked about it, right? But, the raiding from them has kind of stopped. So, I think as soon as I start raiding them, obviously they're going to start raiding us. And, I'm not really quite ready for that yet. So I was very tempted to start, sending lesser horrors. We have plenty of scouts in their territory, so we will be able to take those provinces, once we start sending horrors. But I think, like one or maybe two more turns, and we're going to be in a much better position to grab a lot of their territory really quickly. So yeah, we're going to hold off on the horrors for a turn or two. We're also a little on the low side for Blood Slaves, because we are doing 2 castings of Ritual of the Five Gates, so continuing to build up our demon army, which will probably be important because we're about to piss off Gath. And this is pretty irresponsible. There's no two ways around it, because we're going to send in our super combatant, which I think we'll see will do pretty well against all the monkey PD and everything, but it's not going to do so great against the kind of stuff that Gath has been building up on the borders here. Now we should have like some diplomatic cover, all right, because even if Gath is pissed with this, they probably will not break the nap. They'll probably just end it, in which case we have 3 turns to sort things out. But considering we're headed towards summer, it's going to be very difficult for us to get reinforcements. And it's basically impossible for us to get our army over there to actually like crack this fortification. So and then we're about to kind of. I mean, this has already been sort of ongoing, but we're about to get involved pretty heavily, pretty far away from where we're at. So, and we're not really quite ready yet. On the other hand, we do have an army that's just kind of sitting here not doing anything, and we're about to build up another army. So, like I said, a war against Gath would be fine, but, it'd be nice to get a fort here, right? Because Gath has a pretty large army, which thankfully has not cracked this citadel yet, this Arcocephaly. So, long term, it's not that this is a bad idea. It's just that, I don't think this is really going to do much other than get rid of this really annoying, province defense dump that, Gath will be able to push us off of this fort, at least initially, if we end up going to war over it. But, I don't know. I want to see him in action. And there is the possibility, right, that, Gath is annoyed, but they have other things that they want to do. If they reach out, I'll definitely let them know. It's hey, I was planning on, going after this stuff. So you grabbed Arcocephaly. They've had something like 20 or 30 turns, right? And I've just left this, untaken capital on my border, and I've been raided as a result. So it's not like I haven't given them a chance to take this. So we'll see how all that goes, but you can see from the recruitment we are expecting war. So we're recruiting up some crossbowmen, really just to have a crossbowman squad. Definitely some of Gath's mages are pretty squishy, just dudes in robes. So if they're not casting arrow fend, then we have a pretty good chance of sniping some in the first volley or two. So we're not really going to be relying on crossbowmen to be the main strength of this army. Obviously, the main strength of this new army will be the demons, but like I said, I do think there's advantage, especially because our crossbows are so cheap. And then down here, we are just recruiting some patrol chaff because the birds are really struggling to control this unrest. We're going to have to do another turn of preaching here. Hopefully next turn, since our Blood 2 is moving out, we can restart blood hunting here. But yeah, we're going to need some more patrollers. So instead of wasting air gems, we're going to use some gold and, just send our goblins over there to beef up that patrol group. Otherwise, not too much troop recruitment. Of course, always the Rimvetti in the capital. We are doing a little bit of recruitment on our border here with Marignan, just bodyguard, garrison type troops. And this is just in case things go sideways for Marignan and they end up losing this war, right? Because we've been kind of relying on this being a peaceful border, but if Marignan disappears, well, it may not remain a peaceful border. So we're probably just going to slowly, beef up our garrisons along this border just in case. That said, right, you can see that Marignan has a ton of stuff in their capital, including their pretender, and that the merfolk did not choose to move forward, right? So they're being somewhat cautious, which I think is wise. So Marignan is a long way from being out, but they do have a really powerful, really dangerous army that's sitting in their cap circle. So things are not going great, and they are fighting 2 people. Phlegra is pretty weakened, right? Someone is probably going to snap them up, but it's still extra provinces that Marignan is going to be losing, so it's always tough when you're fighting multiple people. So we'll have to keep an eye on that situation. I don't think we're forging anything too interesting. Probably the most interesting is we're starting some lightless lantern production because we're actually getting decent amount of fire income. So yeah, we'll probably keep this up, more or less indefinitely, really. Because while our research is not bad, we do have Magic 3 scales, and we have been producing a ton of mages. I've talked about it before. Every time we fight, we mobilize a ton of mages and lose a ton of research. So we are probably behind at least some of the other powers. Not too far behind, but still behind. So, and any bit that you can help out your research, definitely worth it. Otherwise, in terms of foreign events, not too much. People are just sort of finishing off AI Raga, and we haven't really seen any other wars kick off. So, I think the world is a bit in flux at the moment. There's a lot of people who are unoccupied, so I think things could go a lot of different directions. I do need to reach out to Utgard and let them know that, I'm sure they're not thrilled about this army just hanging out here. Need to let them know that, hey, this is about, this Patala situation. We're not planning on attacking you anytime soon, because Utgard is probably our most dangerous neighbor, at least currently. And then speaking of research, let's take a look. Right, Blood 7, we are hoping for, I think, vampires at that point. And then you can see that there isn't really a plan after that. We will get Blood 7 not next turn, but the turn after. We definitely have plenty of options in terms of where we want to go. So, we'll have to do some thinking. But Blood 7 for vampires will be nice. Of course, we do have, our national blood magic, which we're going to want to focus on with Illwinter and bringing in those Nephil Jarls. But like I said, I'm not quite ready to piss off everyone in the world. So in the meantime, having a few vampires pop out probably wouldn't be the end of the world. I also really haven't ever done vampires. So sure, let's get a little bit of vanilla blood going as well. So I think that more or less covers turn 49.